Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And I am so sorry. I forgot to push the button to let you know that I was here at 3 o'clock and I was talking with somebody. But thank you all for showing up. This is Woody Collins with Congo Helping Hands. And it's another day of talking about the Congo. I just was talking with a good friend of mine. She was riding by on her bike, and I said hello to her, and she stopped and came back over and started talking to me. And so then she finally asked, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm getting ready to go live." And which I knew it wasn't going to take. I was going to talk for a few minutes, so I decided, okay, let me just start it, but I forgot to push the live button. So you've been sitting there waiting for me to show up, and at least you would have known that I was actually here just waiting on something to do. But thank you all for coming in and listening to another episode of Talking About the Congo. And today we got a couple exciting subjects. They're exciting to me because both of them is giving me a little bit of question on what's going on in the Congo. And actually, to tell the truth, it makes me wonder whether I'm going to go back to the Congo. The first thing we want to talk about is the entrance and exit requirements for the COVID testing that you have to do. And the second thing we're going to talk about is a little small, skirmish that may be starting down in the Kasai, and we hope that that don't blossom into another full-blown war again. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, the embassy put out yesterday, and I looked at it, and I think I put that out on my Facebook page about what the requirements are for entry and exit out of Congo. And this morning, I took a closer look at it. And what I did not notice yesterday was the type of COVID test that they required. They required a PCR test, which is the most accurate test, but that's the one they stick up your nose. And I'm going, whoa, what? And they require not only you have one of those tests to actually get on the plane. So the people in Brussels Airlines and probably even United, meaning to say I will have to have one in the United States because in the U.S. before you leave, they check to make sure that you have everything in order to enter the country. And if you don't have all the documents and all tests, yellow fever vaccination and all that kind of good stuff, they will not let you get on the plane because the rules are if you fly to a country and cannot legally enter that country, they are responsible for sending you back to, they, meaning the airlines, you get a free trip home because they messed up and did not, uh, hold to the standards of you being ready to enter the country. So, so it normally they go through the two things they always check for is your visa, and sometimes they are just as I don't want to say. Well, they are, some of the ladies are, some of the gentlemen. They look at your visa and it's in French, and they say, "Oh, I can't read that," and I go, "Well, I'm sorry, you can't read that, but that's the official visa." And then the way the Congolese stamp their visa is they put a date on it, but it's the date they issued it. And your visa does not take effect until you arrive there. So they look at it and you may have a visa that you got a month ago and they say, well, this is already expired because look at this date. And you have to tell them, no, it starts when I get there versus the date that they actually issued it to me. So you get through that. Then they want to take you look at your yellow fever shot. So they look at your yellow fever shot, vaccination. And one lady, she said that this is already expired. It's only good for 5 years. And I said, no, it's good for 10 years. And then she started looking at when the doctors, expiration of their appointment expired, and she said, well, that's the reason why it's expired, because that date. I said, no, that's for the doctor. All right, you talking. They got on the phone. They called the corporate office, and finally, after about 30 to 45 minutes, I finally was allowed to get on the plane and check my bags. So one of the things they'll be checking now is to make sure that you have a PCR COVID-19 test that's within 7 days when you arrive in the Congo. So you got to get that done. But the whole thing that I'm thinking about is like, okay, I've never had one, and I've been very careful not to get into anything where I would have to have a test. And so I've been really strict about where I go, how often I go there in case, so I wouldn't have to have a test. Because I just, after looking at somebody, that long swab that they stick, it's not like a little Q-tip, and it looks pretty long, and everybody I tell me say it is annoying while it's happens, and it burns a little while, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And the whole idea of it, you got to have, taking one in America is, it would be okay, but all of a sudden you got to take one when you arrive in the Congo. So let's say you just took one less than 72 hours ago, they're going to stick another one up your nose when you get to the Congo. And the whole thing of, I don't know if they're going to have really registered, qualified nurses to do that, or whether they're just going to, I mean, it's just that whole idea of like you arriving to the airport and they're going to be having all the people there, and they're going to have all these swabs standing out, giving you this, jamming this thing up your nose. And I'm going, I don't want that. Because number one is, I don't I don't trust the Congolese health system to have enough supplies on hand. And the whole thing I'd be worrying about is like, hey, I could be COVID free, but all of a sudden they have they have, mishandled the thing, and the next thing I know, I've gotten COVID because it was, contaminated in some kind of way. And I'm going, it's just a pain in the neck. I mean, this is this is crazy, but I should not be that way. But hey, it is what it is. So anyway, you got to have one in the United States, and you got to have one as soon as you get there when you get off the plane, and then they will get your results to you. Talking to my friend who mentioned it, said that they get it to you within 24 hours, or it takes a day, you get it the next day. And so that basically says, you're free to do whatever you need to do, and to be, you know, go out into the general public and so forth and so on. So anyway, so as you can see, I'm very worked up about that, and I should not be. However, I'm sorry. It's just one of those things of, after being in the Congo, knowing that they have, one of the crazy things that I saw is like, we take gloves, and if you're going for any type of medical exam, they take a pair of gloves, a clean pair of gloves, put it on, do whatever you want to do, and then they throw them in the trash can. Well, in the Congo, they wash the gloves and hang them out and let them dry, and they use them over and over again until they are frail. I remember, you know, watching a doctor operate on somebody, and the gloves that he had on bust. So they put another pair of gloves over the top of that one, and I'm going, oh my goodness. Oh, okay, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit. You don't need to be afraid. You probably never go to the Congo, but hey, that's the stuff you have to deal with, you know, in a depressed third world country. Okay, let's get on to the other reason why I'm upset today. The other reason is, back in 2017, I was in the Congo. I remember it clearly. It was in August of 2017, and they had been having these skirmishes between the militia leader and the government authorities. The militia leader said they didn't want the government authorities telling them what to do. They were exercising their chief's rule, and so they did not need the government telling them what to do or anything like that. So, okay, great. But the government said, no, 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 we gonna no, this is the this is we got to be in charge. Well, they kept going back and forth, and then the militia beat up some police. The police killed a few militia, tit for tat. Next thing you know, you got a full scale war going on. And then finally, what I remember is they're here this you know what we call in the army a deuce and a half truck coming back open stake with railings on it, and there was a bunch of soldiers and they were singing and shouting and kind of joyously. And what I found out is that was they had killed the chief and they were bringing his body back to Kananga to be exhibited to the people and put on exposition to the people out at the parade field, which they had basically it was a tennis courts that was a large tennis court area, and so they put the chief's body out there, which breaks all kinds of traditional things going on and everything, and they just kind of like okay. So immediately I thought, okay, I guess this is over with. They killed the chief. Everything is gonna settle down. And so I think I was leaving in the next week or so. But I tell you, all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose. I mean, a month later, you had a full civil war between the militia, which was called the Camino Sapo, and the government forces. I mean, there's all kinds of, if you, do some research on it, you can go in and you can see all kinds of stuff that was going on where the government was just these guys out there coming up there with machetes or something like that to fight against them. And these government soldiers just mowed them down like they were sticks. I mean, they got their automatic weapons on full automatic and they just mowing these poor, possibly young kids down because those were the ones. So, okay, bring you forward to the day. Uh, well, let me bring up another point on that. Well, that started the Civil War. Over 3,000 people were killed. A half a million people were ran out of their houses. They left displaced and everything. Had mass starvation. We went over in 2018 to do hand out food along with the World Food Program and everybody else because the area was in such a bad shape. So with all that, now we got the same situation going on now with the with this other group, which is in the same general area, and they are saying, "Hey, we don't need the government here. The government soldiers, blah blah blah, the government officials." So just as it started last time, the government official from that area, I read, was coming to Kananga to request more help and more government troops to bring order to the area. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that is not what we need. I'm saying, if knowing how this started off last time, if there's any bloodshed or anything, it's going to be tit for tat. And the next thing you know, thousands of people will be running away from their house. Thousands of people will be dead, you know, indiscriminately killed, and we will have another humanitarian crisis on our hands, which is just pretty much things about getting back to normal. So anyway, this is crazy. I tell you, it's not a good day. So I'm sure that when I check back through the day, my blood pressure was sky high because all this stuff is worrying and troublesome to me. So anyway, thank you for listening to my rant, and really concerns about what's going on in the Congo and what could happen in the Congo. And also, you know, that's the way it is. So please remember that you can make sure you can spread this news out to other people by sharing and liking. Because once you share it, YouTube and Facebook picks up that it's something that people likes and they show it to more people. Because even with my friend that was riding around on the bicycle, she says, "Oh, why haven't I seen this?" I say, "Well, it's posted every day, and I'm her friend, and I see her and her husband on Facebook occasionally. But we just need to get that traction of people liking it, making a comment, even if you just say hello or whatever the case may be, and I will comment back hello, and that will increase the the Facebook for showing it to different people, and also for YouTube showing it to different people. So that's how you can help bring the story of what's going on in the Congo to other people. So thank you very much for stopping by, and we will talk to you tomorrow. I'm out here in the park. I'm finna go for a walk now, and hopefully calm my nerves down and be in a more gentle way shortly. Thank you again, and we will see you tomorrow.